I have to admit, when someone sent me this story and I saw this picture, I thought this man had on clown makeup. His face is all the way effed up. But there's a reason for that. So this man's name is Russ Cassidy. Cassidy Russ. What a name. And this man is out of California, and he was accused of throwing a Molotov cocktail at police. Now, as you can see, all he did was rough him up, and they did it. I don't know if they did it or someone else did, but the common theme we're seeing here, hashtag Operation Protect the White Boy. He threw a whole Molotov cocktail at the police, and he still survived, even with his bruises on his face. A California man was arrested Wednesday night after allegedly throwing a Molotov cocktail at police. At approximately 5:40 p.m. on Wednesday, officers with the Corning Police Department began investigating a loud banging noise that was coming from outside the police department on the 700 block of 4th Street. The suspect, later identified as 32-year-old Cassidy Russ, began fumbling with an item near the front of his waistband, the police department said in a press release. As the officers gave the suspect verbal commands, Russ lit a Molotov cocktail and threw it towards the police. The Molotov cocktail missed the officer and exploded near a parked vehicle. Now, what if it was somebody sitting in that car or somebody near that car? They would have been a casualty. Now, peep that. They gave him commands and he was still allowed to launch the Molotov cocktail even with the commands. They did not once open fire, and he reached for it. Let me go to it again. They said he was fumbling with an item near the front of his waistband, which means they could have said, oh, he has a gun. Nowhere did they mention, oh, he has a gun, he has a gun. You know how they do us. This guy pulled out a whole Molotov cocktail and launched it in their direction, and he still survived. It goes on to say, a Molotov cocktail is a homemade bomb made from a bottle filled with gasoline and stuffed with a piece of cloth that is lit just before the bottle is thrown. I don't know why they had to give us a definition of what a Molotov cocktail is when people of a certain age who are old enough to read something like this know what a Molotov cocktail is. But I guess they had to do it for, I guess, a younger person reading. I don't know. Police say that Russ was observed by an officer walking away from the police department following the deployment of the bomb and onto Solano Street. Authorities say officers pursued Russ after observing him near the department. So that means, it sounds like to me, like, I don't know if he was targeting somebody, because they said he was near there and he just happened to just be watching the police, unless it was just one person in particular that he had his eyes on. Authorities say officers pursued Russ after observing him near the department. An off-duty officer tackled Russ on the 1300 block of Solano Street, but Russ continued to resist arrest. You know, the same thing they like to tell black people we need to stop doing. Have you ever noticed too that when a lot of these type of articles come out and they put words in there like resist arrest and not complying, you rarely ever see PC coming up and saying the things to them that they say to us. We'll jump in and say it, and then they'll come and rebuttal it with their on code speak. They said he continued to resist arrest by concealing his hands by his waistband and his backpack. They had so many opportunities to clear this man off the table, and they didn't. Had it been a black man, we already know what would have happened. Officers used baton strikes and pain compliance techniques to subdue Russ, who continued to resist arrest, police said. Officers eventually took Russ into custody by placing him in handcuffs under sustained resistance. According to the Corning Police Department, this wasn't the first time Russ tossed a Molotov cocktail towards the cops. Russ had an active warrant for a previous incident in late July when he threw a Molotov cocktail near where the police department stages marked patrol cars. So this is like a repeat offender. It seems to me he keeps going to the same department and doing the same thing. But they continue to allow him to continue to do the things that he does. And we know why. Russ was booked into the Tehama County Jail on several charges, including attempted murder, possession of an explosive device, arson, battery on a peace officer, and resisting arrest. He is being held without bail at the Tehama County Jail and is set to appear in court on December the 6th. I don't know when this video will go up, but it'll most likely be after his court appearance. But yeah, this is all that happened to him. They got roughed up a little bit, but they allowed him to continue to breathe and continue to walk after he could have taken some people out. Because, you know, a Molotov cocktail that explodes on impact. And they said it hit a parked car or landed near a parked car. Like I said, imagine if someone was in that car or someone was near it, they would have got injured or worse. And they said this wasn't the first time he did it. So they are familiar with this guy. My thing is, why didn't y'all get him the first time? Or if you got him the first time, you let him go. Then he comes back again months later, think he won't come back, and he came back and did the same exact thing. But again, hashtag Operation Protect the White Boy is in full effect as usual. And I didn't hear about this back in July, unless this was one of them stories they just kept under wraps and then they just circled their wagons back to it again. Or maybe because they roughed them up this time, they decided to say, you know what, let's just go and put it out there. I keep telling people, when they allow people or entities such as this person right here to continue to get away with the stuff that they get away with, don't be shocked or surprised when something happens to the people that allow them to get away with the stuff that they do, because they're going to come back to the scene of a previous crime and continue to do the same things over and over again. Repeat offenders. This guy obviously had an axe to grind with someone or someone's in that department, because why would he come back a second time and do the same exact thing? It's somebody there or someone there that he doesn't like. And that's why he's doing it. But notice he's not doing this or throwing it at the actual department itself. It's at a person or persons that he has an issue with. But the fact of the matter remains, and this doesn't change my stance, is that this is a PC man at the end of the day, and he did the whole resisting thing like the article stated, and he's still taken in alive. It doesn't matter that they roughed him up a little bit. The fact is that he's still alive. Meanwhile, Jalen Walker, a couple months ago, he wasn't so fortunate, as well as many black men or black males, if they're under the age of 18, or in even black women or black girls. They never, we know their situation. This guy was trying to take people out on more than one occasion, and they continue to just let him skate on by. And this is exactly why they're going to hurt themselves. They end up hurting themselves more than anything, because their code is killing them. I keep telling people like that. There's flaws in their code. This is one of them. Now, the scary part about it is what if this guy decides to redirect his energy to another location? Then what are they going to do? As far as I'm concerned, when they allow people like this to get away with this so much, whoever blood gets shed or spilled is on their hands.